Good evening and welcome. This is the January 8th, 2026 meeting of the Planning Commission for the City of South Haven. I'll call this meeting to order, and I'll apologize in advance in case I call Luke Samantha. Luke, would you call the roll, please?
Clark Gruber.
Here.
Larry Heinig.
Here.
Mike Campbell.
Here.
Paul Fitton.
Here.
Tim Stegman.
Here.
Mary Hosley.
Here.
Janice Farney.
Here.
Bob Sherman.
Here. Thank you very much. And we have an agenda, thanks to Kelly and Company. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion regarding the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The agenda is approved. The meeting minutes for Thursday, December 6th. And I'm going to lead off by giving a shout out to Samantha, because as I read the minutes, I got myself tangled up and confused because it's all my fault, I'm sure. We had a couple of motions that were overlapping each other. And I thought, wait a second, this can't be right. But as I watched the video and looked at the minutes, Samantha had it exactly right. So Samantha, in your absence, great job by you. Any discussion regarding the minutes from the December 4th meeting?
Chairman, I would move to make slight amendments with regard to the motions for clarity. On page 16 of the agenda packet, the bottom one, it says call for roll call vote on amendment. I would add after amendment to Campbell's motion. So it's clear that it was Commissioner Campbell's motion, and then roll call vote on the amended motion. After motion, I would insert by Campbell.
And I agree, Mary, that's exactly where I got tangled up, so thanks for that clarification. So there's a motion to amend the minutes?
So if you support, what I will do is I will move to approve the minutes as amended, where on page 16 of the agenda packet, the roll call vote on amendment will have inserted to Campbell's motion in the sentence after discussing the motion by myself. And then the very next section for roll call vote on amended motion, insert after motion by Campbell.
All right. Is there a second to that motion to amend the minutes?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor of amending the minutes as described, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? So the minutes are amended as moved. And then a motion perhaps to approve the minutes as amended.
It was all rolled into one.
Okay, sorry, I guess I misunderstood that. Okay, all right.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. So the minutes are approved as amended, so thank you very much.
If there's
Kelly?
confusion, we can revisit.
I thought
what
we had an
happened.
amendment on the floor, and then a second
don't-
to that amendment.
I don't think there was ever a motion to approve the minutes.
There wasn't a motion to approve the minutes because
Right.
we were making a motion to amend the motion.
But there was no motion to amend. There was no motion
Okay.
to approve the minutes.
Then, okay.
That's why I did the motion the way I did.
Are we good, Kelly?
The proper procedure, as I understand it, would be to make a motion to approve the minutes and then amend it, or to agree to the proper wording of the minutes and then make the motion to approve. But you can't approve when you don't have a motion.
Okay.
I'm
Mr.
good.
Sheriff, if I may, to clarify, Commissioner Hosley's motion was to approve the minutes with the change that she made. So it was a proper motion to change the minutes with a slight deviation from what was proposed. So the minutes have been approved and changed in the way that she recommended. So
Correct.
you're all set with the minutes now.
Thanks for that, Nathan. Luke, you got all that, right? Thank you very much. All right, at this point, we commonly note communications from residents on various topics. And again, thanks to Kelly and her team, I have a summary of that. So I'll offer those. Linda Albery from 777 North Shore Drive communicated in opposition to the rezoning of 120 Baseline Road, as did Ann Pantalone, also of 777 North Shore Drive. Ann Pantalone also communicated in regard to opposition to the proposed amendment to Section 6227 of the Code of Ordinances. That's really a city council topic, I believe, not a planning commission topic, but nevertheless, her opposition is so noted. Linda Albery noted in opposition to the same amendment, Section 6227, again, a city council topic, but again, her opposition is noted. Dennis Lewis communicated in opposition to the rezoning of 120 Baseline Road. And Andrew Barnes, council representing, Andrew Barnes of Butzel Law, representing the property owners of 706, 712 Virginia Avenue, communicated in regard to easements associated with that property. So that's the summary of what I have. Have I overlooked or missed any communications? Are we good, Kelly?
Mr. Chairman, I didn't quite catch what you said about Andrew Barnes. Just to clarify, he is counsel representing the North Haven Village condominiums.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's correct. He's been represented as counsel, and he's also represented as counsel for 777 North Shore Drive, the Windsurfer condominiums.
Yes.
Obviously, the Virginia Avenue property in regard to a request for a PUD there. So, again, any I've overlooked? Mary, have I got everything?
This week was very hectic, so I am relying on staff.
Okay, thank you. All right, then moving on, we have agenda item number 5, which is in regard to the property at 706.
Four, public comment.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Clark. Public comment. Citizens in the audience are welcome to address the Planning Commission regarding items on the agenda for which there is no public hearing. So if there's a public hearing associated, please wait till we consider that item. Otherwise, you're welcome to speak at this point.
I'm Karen Wilming with North Haven Village residents, and we'd like to have the
Excuse,
tape.
I think, is that with regard to Virginia Avenue?
Yes.
I think
There's
it
a
is.
public hearing for
Yeah,
that one.
we-
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll invite you back very shortly. Any other citizens wishing to speak to items on the agenda for which there is no scheduled public hearing? Seeing none, then I think we can move on to item number 5, which is in regard to 706, 712 Virginia Avenue and a request for a planned unit development. Kelly, would you give us some background on that, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this item was on the agenda for our November meeting, but to give you a reminder, it is a PUD, Planned Unit Development Application, for a single-family residential development. The total acreage of the site is about 7 acres, and the lots are just south of the River Ridge Assisted Living Facility in the RM1 zoning district. The property owners would like to develop 6 single-family homes with some associated amenities like docks and boat slips along the river. There has been some confusion over the past couple of weeks about the parallel plan that is in the packet on sheet L1.01, which shows more lots than what are actually planned. So I just wanted to point that out, that The plan number of home sites at this time is 6 and not 11, as shown on that site. The PUD, or on that page. The PUD ordinance does require applicants to provide a parallel plan that shows what they could develop on the site if they were not requesting a PUD. And so that's why that page is included in their application. Additionally, in November, some questions were raised about easements at the south end of the property. I'm sure we'll be talking about that some tonight. We did ask the city attorney's office to research these easements, some to confirm that they provide ingress and egress as stated by the applicant. Our city attorney, Nathan Inks, has prepared a memo that is in your packet just to provide a very brief summary. In 2008, there was an easement conveyed to a previous property owner of 706 and 712 Virginia for the purpose of providing ingress and egress to the property. Is there anything else that you think we should say about that at this time, Nathan?
Would just clarify that, again, as I stated in the memo, our review was confined to the documents that we had available. We do not have the ability to determine whether easements were properly conveyed or what property rights a property owner may or may not have had. So we're not opining on whether that easement was valid. That's something that individual property owners would have to look into. But based on our review, it does appear that the applicant can develop the site as proposed with that access drive on the southern portion of the property.
All right, thank you very much. In that case, then, I think we are prepared to open a public hearing on this topic.
Mr. Chairman, I would also note that the applicant team from Edgeworks, or Spencer, at least from Edgeworks, is here tonight to answer any questions that you might have, and Brad from Williams & Works also helped with the review on this project. So lots of folks here to provide assistance.
What do you think, Kelly? Is it more appropriate for Spencer to offer any additional information, and then we'll open a public hearing?
That is up to you. That's certainly appropriate.
Chairman, I would support that, especially if there's new information from
Right.
last time.
All right, Spencer is here from Edgewater, is that correct? Yes. Please, if you would.
Oh, I said it.
So, as you remember, the project is at the south property line of River Ridge, behind the houses along Kentucky Avenue. We have access through the north side of the property from an easement with River Ridge that provides access to the road that then splits at the north side of the property, one road leading south along the western edge, and the other one going to the eastern edge of the property, and then going down to Lynch's property, the applicant's property. Down at the south end, it reaches the parking lot that provides access to the docks that are going to be a common element between the different owners. And then we have an emergency access route through the south ingress and egress utility easement, providing, fire access, emergency access, and avoiding a closed loop. I'm not sure. Do you have any other questions? I mean, I think.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Please, go right ahead, Paul.
Am I to understand that this is going to be an entirely private community?
Yes.
It's a private road, no public access on sidewalks. It's closed to the public.
Yes.
I was wondering, how will the trails that are described, how will they connect to the main streets, the sidewalks on the main road?
The trails?
Yeah.
I don't believe we have any trails shown in our plan.
Okay, so I didn't think you had sidewalks planned, do you?
No, we do not have sidewalks planned.
So how do people access the main sidewalk down by the main road?
Off of Kentucky Avenue,
Uh-huh,
they would walk on the driveways.
I see. Okay.
If I may add to that, the sidewalk along Kentucky actually ends, I think, at the southern border of your property, just right after Haven condos. So I'm not sure, there's not any public sidewalk along the length of Kentucky.
And there's actually a row of houses in between us and Kentucky Avenue.
Correct. And so to Commissioner Varney's question, I believe that part of the plan was to, for the request to waive the sidewalk was going to be a path for them, for the condo association members to get to the river. Is that what you were?
Yeah, I was wondering about the walkways.
Oh, and to that point, because I did notice that there was in the resolution that the deviation from section 2121 for the sidewalks was that the development shall include a pathway or trail system that connects to the city's public sidewalk system. But there's no public sidewalk system near the, near your property. So,
Right.
except on the south end. And then you've got, if that is pedestrian, then you have pedestrians using the emergency access, which to me sounds like a problem waiting to happen. So that requirement in the resolution raised concerns because it didn't make sense.
So the emergency access is going to be reinforced turf, which is not, a paved road or any sort. So there won't be anybody, unless there's
No.
a fire or.
Sorry, what I was getting at is if the connection to the public sidewalks, with the public sidewalks only being on the south end of your property, it would have to be through the emergency entrance. And that was the concern, that you would be funneling people through that emergency exit to the public sidewalks along Kentucky.
Yeah, but there's only 6 homes being proposed on this plan. It's not like a huge, large development. They're single-family homes. And so we feel that providing separate sidewalks is an expense that won't be often used.
I understand that, but the resolution requires you to connect the pathway with the public sidewalk.
Okay.
That's
If
the
I could,
concern.
Mr. Chairman, if the Planning Commission feels that that condition is inappropriate, the Planning Commission can discuss that and make a different decision regarding the resolution. That would be appropriate Planning Commission action.
Right, and I was just, as Kelly, you and I exchanged emails, I wanted to know what the developer thought of this, and so.
If we need to add there are no other sidewalks, though, connecting to that portion of the emergency access, so we'd need to add one in. Currently, the sides of the roads we're planning on using as swales for conveying stormwater. We have a sidewalk near the parking lot area that connects down to the walks, the stairs that go down to the docks. So we could, possibly add a connection there. But the easement isn't very wide, and we'd rather,
What would we need a sidewalk for? Where are we connecting into a public sidewalk?
across the North Haven condo complex.
Down here? Yeah, but that's just an emergency easement. Yeah, I'm not sure we need, that's an emergency easement, not the normal easement. Not sure why we would need one, that seems.
Well, and that was my concern, is that I understood the trail, the pathway from the homes down to the river. I didn't, connecting them to the city's public sidewalk system is what gave concern, because there really isn't a public sidewalk system there.
Yes, so I believe one of our requests for the PUD was to, what's the right word?
Waive.
Waive that
Right,
requirement.
exactly. So I think we would probably want to come up with different wording when we get to that point, based on this.
Mr. Chairman, may I please make
go
sure
ahead,
I
Paul.
understand? we're going to have private property, we're not going to let the public in on this land at all, but we're expecting the people who live there to be able to walk out through the emergency egress to be able to get to public sidewalks.
No.
That's what I,
That's not what I'm proposing.
That's just an emergency easement. That was just something, I don't think that's needed in this situation. That's why they're asking not to have one. They don't need one to go into that sidewalk.
as long as they don't use it, that's fine. Okay.
Other comments, questions?
Mr.
Mike,
Chairman.
please go ahead.
Kelly, could you put, display page 32 and 33, which contain the two, the proposed and the alternative lot structuring? So as I understood, Kelly, you said that the page 33, where there's 11 lots shown, that's a requirement to show an alternative plan if the PUD was not going to be used?
Right,
Okay.
yes.
So in terms of splitting the lots and making
Yes.
sure they all had proper frontage and so forth?
Correct.
Okay, so my
Yes.
question is then, why not that plan as opposed to going with a PUD?
Because this level of development is not what our client is looking for. They are looking to create a smaller development where they can have their own home on it, and preserve as much of the natural quality of the property as they possibly can. And by developing, 11 lots instead, and the amount of grading and land clearing that would require, it would become an entirely different property, have an entirely different feel from what they are looking for.
And they're looking for something more intimate?
Yes, something more intimate, something more natural. They bought the land because they liked the natural qualities that it had. It's got a nice creek running through it. It's got a lot of nice old trees and everything. They liked that quality of it, and they're looking to preserve that, but also to develop it in a way that, supports their construction of their home.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. You state in your narrative that the phasing that you've outlined in there may change. The phasing is part of what we're approving or discussing to approve here. What type of events would possibly change that?
Depending on when the lots are sold. Do you have the narrative up, Kelly?
I am finding it right now.
28. I believe.
Phase one would consist of laying out the roads. Phase two,
Yeah, so essentially, that is the phase of construction that would happen. But it might change varying on the constructor's means and methods, the contractor's means and methods, or just, pricing or other things, just anything that might come up during construction.
You are aware, aren't you, that might require you to come back
Yes.
to this board?
If it changes drastically, we would need to get an amendment.
Okay, thank you.
anything else? Yes, this is an item for your concern, I guess, Spencer, not so much for ours, but as I read the easement language, for example, on page 80 and 81 of the agenda packet, it specifically says that no construction or heavy equipment traffic will be allowed. This is 1.2 in the easement. It says the easement may not be used for one, construction traffic or heavy equipment related to construction or development of the grantee's properties.
There's another portion of the easement further down that talks about, if you keep going, Kelly.
2.1 perhaps?
Yes. So that lays out, the process of how we notify them what we're planning to do. It gives them the period of time to respond. And if approved by you in our site plan, then we
I see. Section 4 describes a temporary construction easement. Perhaps that's what you're referring to, 4.1? Okay. Well, like I said, I don't think that's necessarily a concern of ours in granting the PUD application, but it would be a concern for you.
yes, yes, we will have to talk to our neighbors when we want to construct.
Okay, okay. Other comments? Then it would be appropriate, I think, to open the public hearing. Clark, did you have something first?
No.
I move to open the public hearing.
Second?
It's been moved and supported to open a public hearing in regard to this item. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The public hearing is opened, and any citizens that would like to speak to this item, 706, 712 Virginia Avenue, the planned unit development, please come forward and be heard.
I'm Karen Wilming, I'm a resident of North Haven Village, and we've retained an attorney who wasn't able to come today.
Excuse me, ma'am, could you pull that microphone closer to your mouth so it picks up a little better? Thank
All
you.
right. We retained Andrew Barnes for the attorney, but he was not able to come tonight for short notice. Where the easement that's showing, we bought that parcel in 2014, I believe it was. And we bought it off of PUD via a tax auction sale. And so he is telling us that, and we converted it to green space. He's telling us that that doesn't qualify, then the easement is no longer valid, is what we were told. And so that's one of the reasons. But also that ground is very soft. You can't, golf cart sinks on it. So any type of construction that would have to be done, even for utilities and an egress or an ingress, would really affect that. We even had to repair our pool because of the water flow table and the pressure coming down that hill. So we would like to have this tabled, if possible, until this can be settled, and with the attorney going through the additional documents for the amendments and all of the easements.
Okay, understand. And your attorney was in communications with Planning Commission and
Yes.
indicated that there's more research he'd like to do in regard to the easements.
Yes.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to speak to this item?
My name is Barney Perro. I'm at 650 Virginia Avenue. And when I looked at the print that came in the mail, it didn't show where there were any homes or any utility site plan on it. And I came in and this nice young man gave me a drawing. And what I was wondering is on 6-unit PUD, how many accesses do you have to that piece of property? I've been around South Haven for a long time. I was in that neighborhood before Woodland was there, Oak Harbor, et cetera, up and down the river. I probably know it better than anyone. And both Joe Tragna and Barry Fiddleman told me that access that came off of Kentucky Avenue was for utility only. And every time you put a drive in, I don't care how many private signs you put on it, the people are going to drive down it to see what's down there. They're going to ignore the signs. So I'm not in favor of having access coming in off of Kentucky. And it's right into my backyard, and I feel sorry for my neighbors that have the condos there because they take care of that backyard, and they all have their families come out to the pool, and that would be the last thing that I would want is to have traffic coming in and out. And I also see that Edgewater has placed the parking lot for the boat slips, and I know you have to have 1.5 boat slips per boat dock for parking, but there's other places on the property that it could be placed. And it's right along my property, and I'm wondering if parking lots as well as houses have to have setbacks and what they are. It doesn't look like there's a sufficient setback for that parking lot. And it's right in my backyard. And I bought my property because I really relish the privacy of it. I've been in the service business my whole life. And when I go home, I like to be home. And I know that the people will come up along the river and they'll get out and they'll walk either across my frontage on the river, or they'll come up and they'll walk down through River Ridge condominiums to go down to their friends at Oak Harbor or Woodland or wherever they're going. So those are the things that concern me the most. So thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else like to be heard on this topic? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? The public hearing rather, is closed. So the action on the request, what are your thoughts? What are your questions?
I have a question. Are there any other private developments immediately adjacent to this property?
Not to my knowledge.
It wasn't clear to me if there were.
Harbor Club across the street
Correct.
is all private.
Okay.
And that would be on the other side of the river.
No, other side of
Kentucky.
the road.
Across Kentucky
Other end
Avenue.
of the road. They'll be able to see that.
Okay.
That's all.
It's
A
west.
private.
From the entrance.
Yeah, that's on a without sidewalk.
Well, I'm just looking at the questions that talk about, I'm on page 22, questions 1, 2, and 3, and they really talk about the neighborhood and whether anything we're doing impacts the character. I mean, that's the word that's used in question 3, character of the neighborhood. And so that's really the question I'm rolling around in my mind is we're approving the creation of a private community. And are we in any way changing the character of the neighborhood? Well, maybe the answer is no, but that's the question I had as I read through this.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to weigh in, I'd appreciate your counsel.
Anyone?
I could try to give you an answer, at least as I see it.
That's great.
Every development has some differences. And the fact that this one is somewhat isolated is its difference. So if those little differences are what's referred to in the zoning ordinance as change in character, then that is a concern. The fact that this is a residential district and that's what the neighbors are, that's the primary concern in my view, the primary thing that this zoning ordinance is trying to address is, are we putting a commercial building next to a residential? That's changing the character. But having it isolated and more private than the one next door, or a little bit less dense or a little bit more dense, I don't see that as a change in character.
Okay.
Mary, please.
My concern, especially with all the work that we've done over the past plus 1 year on coastal resilience and identifying wetlands and ensuring development does not degrade the integrity of the land, especially along the water that flows into Lake Michigan ultimately. Just there's a lot, it looks like there's a lot of wetlands, and I appreciate that this is just a preliminary site plan. The final site plan would have to get all of the Eagle approvals and soil erosion control approvals that would come through that process. But looking at that and listening to Mr. Perro about the parking lot right across from him, and whether there might not be a better location for that, and the concern that if there is a way to get to that parking lot through the emergency egress, people may short-run the process. So just trying to make sure that the development really is meeting the goals that it appears that the owner is trying to do, trying to develop it symbiotic with the terrain, and keeping it less dense, which is appreciated in that respect. But the development right along the water, that always gives concern, especially with how sandy our soil is. So I would put that as an alternative answer with regard to affecting the community, the micro-community.
All right, any other comments? Go ahead, Mark, I know you got something.
Yeah, if we put together recommending approval to City Council, would that just be a straight recommendation? I know that we have proposed deviations 1 and 2. Would they need to be included in that? Then that would be page 22 at the top.
The 2 variances, you mean?
Well, the proposed deviations there. So, or is that going to be inclusive of the plan? And I don't have to put that into a motion.
I think that's in the resolution.
That's in the resolution, and there was a resolution,
Yeah, the resolution drafted is on page 109 in your packet.
so I'm going from page 22 to 109.
Yes?
To the extent that question was directed toward me, and I can't tell if it was or not, but I might have an answer.
Actually, 105.
105, thank you.
The proposed resolution,
We have a resolution, I'm good with that. I couldn't find that far down.
the suggested resolution from staff would grant the first deviation in part with respect to the sidewalk. We don't believe that the second requested deviation is actually a deviation that needs to be granted. So that
Granted.
No. I believe we discussed that the last
I
time.
thought we had a
this was
resolution,
here.
and I looked at one earlier that was a different document, so thank you.
All right, and Kelly or Nathan, give me a little guidance here. We've got 6 conditions. I'm sorry, Mike,
Just,
please.
thank you, sorry. Just two concerns. One, I asked Kelly to show the proposed plan and the alternative plan, simply because, again, we have a project in front of us that is not going to address the missing middle workforce type housing that is terribly needed in this community. The proposed site plan is going to have, half acre or larger lots. That's not going to have a missing middle type housing on it. So I'm concerned that from a master plan standpoint, even though it's residential, it's not attacking the problem that we have. And we continue to do that with each project that's brought to us. And so I have trouble with this PUD application from that standpoint. And we have to remember that no one has a right to a PUD being granted And in many cases, when we've had PUDs before, like on Hale, the city got something out of it. It's not just the owner of the property getting the deviations. The city is getting something in consideration as well. So it's a two-way street. And I don't see a two-way street going here because they're getting these large lots for homes that will be well above the missing middle, and we're not getting much at all. My second concern is with respect to the easement. I believe that that directly goes to factor number 4, which we can discuss further in terms of whether the PUD will have an adverse effect on neighbors and so forth, not only during the construction but afterwards. So I think we need to discuss if we're willing to allow this to go through without any condition with respect to the easement. I would guess, and I'll let the attorney advise, but I would guess we could put a condition on the easement because this is a legal document, and a legal document can presumably amend something else. So if we wanted to limit the easement to just emergency vehicles after the PUD is constructed, I would like to discuss whether something of that sort could be put into the resolution that we would recommend to City Council in order to protect the adjacent users of the property. And we don't have to discuss that now unless you have an immediate answer.
So the Planning Commission can put conditions on the PUD. The Planning Commission can't put conditions on an easement, though. I mean, an easement is an agreement between two parties. In this case, it's between two private parties. The city is not a party to the easement. So no, the city can't put a condition on the easement itself. The Planning Commission could potentially put conditions on or ask the applicant to redesign their site plan and preliminary plan. But I would caution about wading into what is ultimately an agreement between private property owners about what they may or may not have agreed to with respect to their property. Again, as I laid out in the memo addressing the easement, if the Planning Commission and City Council ultimately approve the PUD, that will not have any impact on existing property rights. It will not enlarge any easements, and it will not reduce any easements. The easements are what they are. Ultimately, that will be for a court to potentially decide. But approving the PUD won't have any impact on what the easement allows or doesn't allow. Either the easement allows for ingress and egress or it doesn't. Approving the PUD won't change that.
Thank you.
Kelly, I started to say on,
Ask a follow-up question.
of course.
Given that, though, am I correct that we could choose not to take action until the two property owners have resolved the issue? I mean, there's a conflict, right? And we don't know the answer, and it's not ours to step in the middle of it. That's what I've heard you say.
Planning Commission ultimately has discretion to take whatever action it wants. I would caution against delaying action based on mere allegations. The applicant has come to you with a purported ability to develop their property as they see fit. Forcing them to try to negotiate with the condo association or forcing them to decide to take it to court to resolve things would essentially be depriving the applicant of their ability to develop the property as they likely have the right to develop it. Again, if City Council were to approve the PUD, that would not have any impact on the easement. So it's not our recommendation to postpone until this item is resolved. The problem with doing that is that, you know, any adjacent property owner could be opposed to a development, and they could say that the property owner doesn't have the right to develop the property as they indicate that they do on their application. And then if the planning commission forces every applicant to go to court to prove that they actually have the right to develop their property.
Well, I understand and I accept what you said, and I certainly won't propose going down that path, but I do disagree with your extension of that. I mean, this is appears to me to be a very clear, specific issue that it's going to get worked out one way or the other, whether we approve or not. But I don't think we're emboldening all adjacent property owners to try to stop project with spurious lawsuits.
No, certainly not all.
Sharon?
Please, Mary.
As a next step for that one, we heard Ms. Wellman speak of the soft ground and not being able to take a golf cart over that area. Could a condition be that could only be egress if it's as is sufficiently strong enough for the emergency vehicles? My concern is if the land is too soft, that will negatively impact the surrounding properties as it's worn. And the scope of the easement, does that allow to physically change the property in order to provide the ingress egress that they desire versus the ingress egress for a one parcel that currently exists with that easement? And also with this, I was going to request adding a requirement that the lots be combined because it's been presented that they would be combined. And one use, one lot. That's the thing is the PUD, as Commissioner Campbell said, is providing a benefit, and they're able to develop it. The parallel plan has also assumed combining those lots, parcels. So there are assumptions built into this plan that are assumptions. They are not facts. And that's the concern, is that this preliminary plan, I can tell a lot of work went into it, but there seems to be some areas that still could use reinforcement to ensure that it's the right plan for that location to meet all the criteria for the PUD.
So I think there were two questions in there, and if there were more,
So it basically boils down, what if that egress area is not structurally sufficient for the purpose? And would the easement allow them to modify it?
So with respect to, can the Planning Commission place a condition that if the easement area wouldn't support an emergency access drive, that they couldn't build it? The Planning Commission can place any reasonable conditions on the PUD. Ms. Getman-Dissett may want to opine on, I assume that this is going to go through engineering review during the final site plan review process, and that engineering would not approve an access drive to be built if one could not be solidly built. That's a little outside of my lane of expertise, so I'll let Ms. Getman-Dissett weigh in on that if she wants.
I don't have anything to add to that except to agree that that this is a preliminary plan. The final site plan will come back to the Planning Commission for approval, and at that time, there will be final engineering and Shays reviews as we would normally include with site plan review in the packet.
Then with respect to the second question, does the scope of the easement allow them to alter the land? That is not something that we looked into. That was not something we were asked to look into at the November meeting. So I don't have an answer on that. That might be a question better addressed to the applicant. They might know the scope of the easement.
And you may not want to comment because you want to stay on the city, impartial. Right?
Again, I haven't looked into that at all. That was not something we were asked to review in November, so at this point, I can't comment on it.
All right, then, again, Kelly, your guidance is always appreciated. We've got, in the agenda packet, page 22, we've got six, I think it is, six standards that must be fulfilled in order to approve a PUD, and we've got a resolution in the packet that would need us to consider each of those separately, I think. Is that what you would suggest? Do we need to speak to each of those?
Mr. Chairman, if you'd like to review the standards with the group, you're welcome to do that. We do also have a resolution on page, beginning on page 105, 106, 107. It's a lengthy resolution that does address the PUD standards. So whereas at a previous meeting, the resolution was left for the Planning Commission to fill out, this resolution has already been filled out. So I will leave that to your discretion.
All right.
But to the extent that the commission wants to have additional discussion on the PUD standards, that's.
Do we need, what's your feeling? Do we need to discuss each of those six items that are required? Or can we move on to the resolution itself and consider it done?
I think we have discussed the ones that are of concern to us already. The others are pretty much neutral.
All right, then. Any other?
And it is a
I do have-
preliminary.
I do have a couple of things I'd like to say.
Please, please,
Okay.
Larry.
Number one, I think with this PUD, the city is getting something. We've got a unique site here with the ravine that runs through it, and wooded site, and we're getting it preserved. So we are getting something from that. Number two, as far as the soft ground out there, I haven't seen anything yet, and I had a 55-year engineering career dealing with soils primarily and foundations that couldn't be solved with a little bit of money. And I have designed reinforced soil embankments, and I don't see anything here that can't be handled. So it's of course up to the engineer to come up with those solutions, but I think they're very possible.
All right. Thanks, Larry. Any other comments?
Commissioner, Chairman.
Please,
sorry.
go ahead, Mary.
I fully agree that technology is there for reinforcement, but my question is legal. Does the easement allow it? Depending on the structural change that would be required for the support. So that was my concern in light of the comments heard tonight.
Mr. Chair, if I may
Please.
address it, and to clarify, if the easement doesn't allow it, then they won't be able to develop the property as they proposed, and they will have to come back and either have a new PUD or amend their PUD. If they can't develop the property as proposed and they can't put in that second emergency access drive, they won't be able to proceed as proposed.
Okay. Do we have a motion then on the request itself?
I would like to move to add there was that there would be no construction or clearing until all state, county, and local permits are obtained. I have seen something to that effect. I'm open to other language. I've seen that with other resolutions, and just to avoid any misunderstanding that tree clearing could occur without plans approved. We've had that happen recently in Ward 3. So just trying to make sure everyone's on the same page. And then also, I do believe that there appears to be an issue with regard to the path or trail system connecting to city public sidewalk system, because there really isn't much of a sidewalk system. That's the very first number one on page 106 under resolved. What wording might be recommended by legal counsel?
Mary, I'll suggest to your first concern in the resolution, I'm looking at page 107, item F, says the proposed PUD will satisfy all applicable local, state, and federal laws, rules, and regulations, which I think is what you're suggesting. All those things need to be in hand, and of course they do.
Mr. Chair, if I could make a procedural suggestion, it sounds like Commissioner Housley might have some amendments that she wants to make to the resolution. It might be efficient if someone were to make a motion either to approve the resolution or some other motion so that a main motion is on the table and then that motion can be amended so that we have a clear idea of what amendments are being made to what document.
That was my suggestion, or
Thank
what
you.
I was going to try to
Thank you
do.
very
I think it might make it easier for everybody sitting up here. So I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 26, or 2026 dash
XX.
Fill in the numbers
XX.
administratively.
It's 01 is the first one of the year.
A resolution recommending conditional approval of the planned unit development preliminary plan and planned unit development rezoning for the properties commonly known as 706 and 712 Virginia Avenue.
All right, there is a motion. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the amendment, or the motion, rather?
Yeah, so as I had indicated, it appears that number one on page 106 should be amended, and I would ask legal counsel's guidance based on the comments and the lack of a public sidewalk system in that general vicinity. But the need for a trail for the homes in that area to easily traverse it.
I guess I'm not quite clear on what the question is.
No, as we heard, that there is not the last part of that item says the system will connect to the city's public sidewalk system, but there is not a public sidewalk system in that area.
That's why we're allowing the deviation.
Correct. So
But
item 1 on page 106 under resolved contains a clause that says, but that the development shall include a pathway or trail system that connects to the city's public sidewalk system. So if the commission doesn't wish to include that clause, it could approve the deviation, but strike the clause that requires some sort of connector to the public sidewalk system.
So there's two of these.
So if the commission does not want to require,
Development shall include.
Well, it needs an internal pathway for safety purposes of the people who would be living there, but there is no public sidewalk system for it to connect to.
so I don't want to wade into the planning realm. I mean, I'll leave it to Ms. Getman to decide if she wants to opine on it, but I think staff's intent with the recommendation was that the applicant would work with the city to connect it to the public sidewalk system. If the planning commission doesn't want to include that, they may remove that portion. I would note, however, that if you are requiring an internal trail system, that would also be something that should be included, because that's not proposed on the preliminary plan, and that's something that has not been discussed yet. So I think there are now two separate amendments that we are contemplating. So,
Mary, if we strike the last, well, almost the last line, strike the word "that connect to the city's public sidewalk system," does that cover your concerns?
I believe it does, but I just want to make sure that there is some path or trail within the system.
Well, that's.
And I
that-
believe that
the
that's
first
what
part
that
of that
says.
sentence.
Yeah.
Kelly,
So if
does
you
that
make a
make sense to
motion-
you? Kelly, does that make sense to you, to strike that portion?
It does make sense to me.
So that would be a great motion.
So then okay. And I do, so I will move to strike that connects to the city's public sidewalk system.
You will move an
From-
amendment to strike.
Move to amend to strike from point 1 at the end that connects to the city's public sidewalk system.
Comment?
So there's a motion to amend,
Second.
and it's been supported. Any further discussion of that motion to amend? Luke, why don't you call the roll, as we see if we're in agreement on that, please?
Valny,
Yes.
Gruber,
Yes.
Heinig,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fitton,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Hostley,
Yes.
Stegman.
Yes.
All right, then, so we've amended the resolution as provided in the packet, beginning on page 105. Any other discussion on that motion?
I would move to add an amendment, a sub G, that the two parcels would be combined.
Mr. Chair, if I can, I think Commissioner Hosley is likely intending to place that somewhere else. 2G would be the findings that the Planning Commission is making. I believe you're trying to impose an additional condition.
Okay, so that would be
You could either do it under subsection 1, or if you want to add a subsection 5.
guess it would be a subsection 5. That that the properties will be combined before a final site plan is brought forward. I would move to add .5, inserting that the properties will be combined before a final site plan is brought forward.
Combined for what purpose or towards what goal? For,
But, so
just
the,
combine the parcels for tax purposes?
well, no, the whole premise is that these two parcels are getting combined and that the PUD is across those two parcels.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, there's no support on the motion.
I'm sorry?
There's no support on the motion.
Right. So it's been moved to amend the resolution again. Is there a second to that motion? The motion fails for lack of support. Any other discussion of the motion in question? So again, we're talking about the motion 20-26-01, or XX if you prefer, as amended. If there's no further discussion, Paul, did you have something?
There was discussion earlier about the parking lot for boats and the proximity to the property. Basically, that parking lot coming immediately adjacent to that property. And my question, it's really a question, do we want to provide any guidance as it relates to the location of that parking lot? Or do we just want to leave it as it is?
I suggest we leave it as is. This is a preliminary, and I think the developer is hearing a lot of comments on that now.
Given that I'm, okay, thank you.
And potentially it could fall under C.
Okay.
All right, then, we do have a motion as amended. Luke, would you be kind enough to tally the votes?
Horsley,
Yes.
Varney,
Yes.
Gruber,
Yes.
Heinig,
Yes.
Campbell,
No.
Fitton,
No.
Stegman,
No.
Sherman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
What was,
Motion passes 5-3, I believe.
5-3.
Correct. All right, then. I think that allows us to move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is a site plan review for 500 Virginia Avenue.
well,
Was there a comment, question?
I struggled with this,
You're referring to the item we just approved?
the item that we just approved. And that's why I asked for the vote, because I actually would have passed, but under the rules of the Planning Commission, you cannot, if you pass, you have to, you cannot pass, you have to vote. But under the rules, Robert's Rules of Order, you can, I can't recall. You can, a person who voted for it can request that, is it rescind? Mr. Inks?
You can move to reconsider, is that what you're
Reconsider.
thinking?
No, I think,
You can move to reconsider. If that was the question.
I believe that's correct. That's what I thought Mary was headed for, but perhaps not.
If an individual who has voted wishes to change their vote, what is the process?
If an individual who voted in the majority wishes to change their vote, they may make a motion to reconsider. An individual in the minority may not move to reconsider.
and I was in the majority because I voted yes. I would move to reconsider the vote.
All right, the motion to reconsider, is there a second?
Is one needed?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
not sure what changed in the last
What?
60 seconds here.
Nathan, is
So-
a second required on a motion to reconsider?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion to reconsider, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I could have a moment, I don't know if Mr. Campbell can second the
Since he
motion.
voted in the minority?
If you could give me
Of course,
a minute.
of course.
This is just
Google-
new
Google can
ground.
help you.
I don't believe we can. It would have to be somebody from the majority.
Yes, Mr. Campbell can second the motion, but he can't make the motion.
All right, then, it's been moved and seconded to reconsider. Any discussion?
So if this fails, they can come back with a different design, taking into consideration.
If what fails, the motion to
If-
reconsider or the,
So,
Well, they're probably going to come back with a different one because they only gave us a preliminary.
right.
If the motion from the planning commission fails, the item still would move to the city council.
That's true. the recommendation would then be no recommendation.
Correct.
All right, but we have a motion to reconsider. It's been seconded. Luke, would you call a roll?
What are we voting on here now?
The motion to reconsider.
Just to reconsider, but
Correct.
then we would revote?
I believe so.
If we reconsider.
Jim, something?
If another motion is made.
Sorry, what was the, through the chair to Commissioner Gerber, what was the parliamentary question? What happens if the motion passes?
Correct. If a reconsider passes, then where are we?
So it essentially undoes the last vote. So you would be back where you have the amended motion on the floor.
Okay, so a no would just continue our previous motion, it would go forward.
Correct.
Thank you.
Tim, something?
Yeah, I think this is kind of an abuse of how we operate. Because any given meeting, any agenda item, this would set precedent for, okay, I'm gonna wait and see how everybody votes. If it's close, maybe I'll do a motion to reconsider so I can change the vote at the end.
Correct.
So I think if we get in a practice of doing this, it'll be detrimental. And I mean, look, it's already an hour, 10 minutes into this item. And
I agree. It's
we've
not
got
a
long way to
good
go.
practice to make standard operating procedures, so.
But, and it is not a good practice, but this was one that I was struggling with. And with the vote so close, it was, a motion for reconsideration was warranted.
Okay.
Especially considering our bylaws does not allow one to pass and wait.
All right, as I said, we've got a motion, it's been seconded.
And we're assuming everybody's gonna vote the same way except maybe one person.
Well, let's
Maybe-
vote on
maybe-
the motion to reconsider,
Maybe somebody who voted no would vote yes.
perhaps.
You never
So, and just to clarify, if we vote no, then it's like the last few minutes didn't happen and we're going on to the next item. Okay.
No, if you vote
No
yes?
on the motion to reconsider.
Did you say if you vote yes or if you vote no?
If we vote no to the then we're back to where we were and the motion goes forward off to city council.
Correct,
And we're
yes.
done. We're back to number 6 again,
Correct.
like we were a few minutes ago.
All right.
Correct.
Luke, please call the roll.
Stegman,
No.
Hossley,
Yes.
Varney,
No.
Gruber,
No.
Heinig,
No.
Campbell,
No.
Fitton,
No.
Sherman.
No. So the motion to reconsider fails, and the motion previously approved is still approved, and I think we can move on to item number 6. The site plan review for slip 67 of 500 Virginia Avenue. Kelly, is there anything to add beyond what was in the packet?
Probably not, Mr. Chair. So, Don and Wayne Allen have applied indeed for a boat slip and, a boat hoist in slip 67, 12 feet by 14 feet. It will require 4 new pilings. Permits have been received from Eagle, the Army Corps, and the county. The Harbor Commission reviewed this application on December 16th and recommended approval after finding there would be no encroachment on the city's harbor lines, no impediment to safe navigation in the harbor, and no adverse impact to adjacent properties. So we do have an applicant here. Maybe not.
All right, any discussion of this item?
Well, let's get a motion on the floor. I'll make the motion that we approve the 500 Virginia Avenue, Oak Harbor Marina, slip 67 boat hoist installation request, including the recommendation by staff on page 115, items 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded to approve agenda item number 5, the 500 Virginia Avenue slip 67. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I know from the report that Section 2109 requires planning commission approval for this. However, just as with the STR approvals that we're having to do, this and the next one, these things have been proved by everyone except God. And so I don't think it's something that we need to be looking at any further, but rather act on these and then ask the attorney to, again, look at this as far as an amendment to allow for the zoning administrator to approve these, and if she or he wants them to come to us, that they come to us.
Totally agree. Any other discussion?
I will say we have discussed this before and tried to do that, and it was shot down.
Any other
We'll
discussion?
try again.
Well,
Yeah, we did good.
All right, then, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Luke, would you do the honors, please?
Horsley,
yes.
Barney,
Yes.
Gruber,
Yes.
Heinig,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fitton,
Yes.
Stegman,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes. Thank you all. Item 6 is approved. Item 7, similar. Slip 101 at 300 Oak Street and the River Noir Yacht Club.
Yes.
Well
correct.
documented. Thank you, Kelly.
Yes, and the request is for very similar footprint, 16 feet long by 15 feet wide, also 4 new pilings, and also permits have been received, and we did not have the soil erosion permit when the packet was released, but it has been provided this week by the applicant. Again, this was reviewed by the Harbor Commission and recommended for approval.
All right, is there a motion regarding agenda item number 7?
I move we approve agenda item 7, following the recommendations on page 115 in the
43.
143.
Yes.
You're looking at the one I did.
Sorry.
It's the same language.
Page 143. Thank you.
All right, so it's been moved. Has it been supported?
Second.
It's been moved and supported to approve agenda item number 7. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask Luke to call the roll.
Varney,
Yes.
Gruber,
Yes.
Heinig,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fitton,
Yes.
Stegman,
Yes.
Horsley,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes. Thank you all. Item number 8, North Shore Drive, 333 North Shore Drive, a special land use application for a pool. Kelly, anything you'd like to add to what's in the packet?
Thank you. Again, no new information. This is a request by Creative Landscaping and Design to install an in-ground pool, 10 foot by 16, along with a new patio, deck, and fencing in the waterfront yard at 333 North Shore. Because this is a waterfront lot, this request requires approval by the Planning Commission as a special land use. And because it is a special land use application, we do need to hold a public hearing.
Yes, indeed. And there is a representative of the contractor here as well?
That is correct. Yes, Bobby from Creative Landscaping and Design is here on behalf of our coworker who is ill and unable to attend.
All right. Would you be kind enough to come forward and add any detail that would be helpful?
Good evening. I'm Fabi from Creative Landscaping and Design. This is a backyard in-ground pool project, and that meets all, the design meets the code and requirements, and we are requesting your approval for the project.
Questions for the contractor?
Kelly, could you put up one of the bird's eye views?
It's page 162 if you want it in your packet.
162, the chairman suggests. Yeah, that one will do. Could you, do you have a pointer there?
I've got this
Yeah, okay.
guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could someone show me about where the top of the bluff would be?
Oh, good question.
Oh, yes. So I believe the top of the bluff to be, oh, I'm sorry, that is a good question on this drawing.
If they scroll down to the photos
Excuse
of
me.
the bluff,
Let me just
they
one.
can see an aerial.
Okay, just one moment, Zach. So I have Zach Affa, my coworker, with me on the phone now. So if you scroll, they are seeing the site plan, Zach. When which one we can see? I believe the
172?
we have. Could you say that again, Zach?
Yes, if they scroll down the PDF, there's an aerial image showing the
172.
photo of the backyard with an approximate location of the pool. That way they can see the top of the bluff.
So if
172.
172.
There you go.
Yeah, it appears like the pool
Okay.
doesn't,
So-
isn't
so-
even as far away as the two buildings next to it.
So, so where is the top of the bluff?
It's not apparent.
Much bluff there.
I believe it's by where the zero of the 240. It's fairly
that's-
gradual in there.
Yeah, it is pretty casual.
Yeah, there's actually two buildings
That's a
there.
beach house to the immediate north of it, the parcel right next to it, where the 240 is, that's like a beach house there. And there's a pool on the parcel immediately to the north of that.
Larry, I think what you're getting at is it's supposed to be identified on the plan, correct?
Well, I would like it to be identified on the plan so I knew where it was, but if all we can do is guess, I made my guess earlier today, so. All right,
Oh, if you go to 174, that's actually a better view.
okay.
Yeah, there's a house next to that.
And I did pull up the South Haven shoreline analysis that we received in May 2024, and this is east of the proposed setback line.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
there is another image. Yeah. Please.
When the Tickners owned that, I saw a lot of July 3rd fireworks right, right there.
All right, end of questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We need to open a public hearing then. Is there a motion to do so?
Mr. Chairman, I move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and supported to open a public hearing. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
The public hearing is open. Any residents, citizens that would like to speak to this issue, please come forward and share your feelings.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close the public hearing.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to close the public hearing. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
The public hearing is closed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve resolution number 2026-2, a resolution approving a special land use application for a swimming pool at 333 North Shore Drive.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve resolution 2026-02. Nathan, are you keeping score? Thank you. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none. Luke, are you up for another roll call?
Love to. Fitton.
Yes.
Stegman.
Yes.
Hostley.
Yes.
Varney.
Yes.
Gruber.
Yes.
Heinig.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes. The application is approved, and we can move to item number 9 on your agenda regarding 313 Center Street, the Forest House property with a special land use application.
Hey, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'm a huge supporter and volunteer for the Historical Association, so I'm going to recuse myself from this item. as it would be an automatic support.
All right, well, thank you, thank you. You're welcome to stay, but if you'd like to step down, you're welcome to do that as well.
This is the correct way to do it, so I'm going to do it this way.
All right, then, Kelly, any detail beyond what's in the packet regarding 313 Center Street?
So this is a request by the Historical Association of South Haven, sometimes called HASH, to use the upper 2 floors of the existing building at 313 Center as a hotel. And over the past couple of years, HASH has been renovating and restoring the building, and the first floor is currently in use as a retail and event space and is labeled on the plans as a speakeasy. And the group has considered various ideas for use of the second and third floors, but has settled on a hotel. These upper floors contain 4 flats or apartments, as Mr. Olgard refers to them, has called them flats. And so Brad from Williams & Works has helped with the review on this one. Is there anything more you want to add right now, Brad, before we hear from Jim and do the public hearing?
No, just during the site plan review, I often point out different aspects, off-street parking, landscaping, things like that. There's several things in there. This is a property, as you know, in the central business district, so it's rather limited to what other properties may be able to do. However, I do have a lot of recommendations that you just speak to the applicant about those issues, such as access, parking, those sorts of things.
And
So Jim Olgard is here to represent the project, and we need to hold a public hearing.
all right, Jim, would you like to share any details with us? Please step forward.
Yes, if you have questions.
All those viewers at home would love to hear you.
Answer them. I've been getting advice from Kelly and from the attorney and from Brad, who is the consultant, as well as Ross Rogan and Keith Beerhalter. So that's sort of the team that's been leading me along. And we finally have come up with a plan so we can find a use that matches our plan. And that's what we're here for now, so we can continue on.
Mr. Chairman,
Please, go
may
ahead.
I ask a question?
Of course.
One of the things that the consultant has raised that I think appropriately you should answer is the use of the third floor. What are your plans for that?
Well, we plan to use that just like the second floor. You know,
Okay.
for hotel-type rental.
Okay, all right. And the questions that,
Now, if we decide not to, then we would
Yeah.
have it as a meeting space, but we want to have that option of renting it out.
okay. Well, our calculation, our look at parking depends upon how that is used. So I suppose we should look at it as the maximum for our,
I would say you should,
yeah,
you know, that would make sense.
whichever of those would be the maximum number of spaces. Other questions, Brad has outlined pretty well, and as he says, he can ask those of you, and that would be fine with me.
You would like me to ask them?
Not right now, if you don't want to.
Just go away.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please, go ahead, Paul.
So when I look on page 182 in the middle, it basically says there appear to be more than 26 to 30 spaces, which is the number of parking spaces I think we're saying would be needed. Does that number include the third floor hotel? Because as I read through the description, I don't think it does.
As far as parking goes, I was informed by Kelly that the use we're asking for allows municipal parking to be used.
That's
But our consideration is there enough municipal parking space available for, we need to look at that. So
that's a bigger
that's the
issue.
reason we need to know how you're using it and
Yeah,
how many
now
spaces
the-
are going to be demanded.
Well, I don't know what, since we put heat in on the third floor, the ductwork has cut out a number of rooms. So the third floor actually could probably hold, I don't know, 6 people probably. So you can add that to, what was it, 20 or something on the second floor? Those were Keith's estimates when we were going through.
Okay.
But the 6 would be as a conference room as opposed to
No,
hotel.
no, I'm saying if we had people in bedrooms, we could have 6 people. As a conference room, you know, how many people would go there? I mean, you know, I wouldn't view people going to a conference as needing parking, actually. You know, for a hotel parking, that's, they would just park wherever they needed to park in a downtown business district.
Or park along Center Street.
Yeah, park in the city streets.
And there's a city lot immediately to the east of that building as well.
Right, right.
But those lots are used by other businesses, and we need to be concerned about how many spaces this is going to take. Fine. You've told us what your plans are there. and
Yeah, I
we'll-
can't
we'll-
really like
We'll work with that
tell
number.
you other than,
Yeah,
you know,
we can
we
work.
will have people there. Will we be full every weekend? Will we? I have no idea.
Okay.
You know, we have, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Any other questions for me?
Hearing none, I'll say thanks very much.
Thank you.
We can consider a public hearing in regard to this item.
Move to open a public hearing.
Second.
Moved and supported to open a public hearing. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Public hearing is open. Any citizens would like to speak to this item, the 313 Center Street Forest House Special Lane Use Application? Please come forward. Seeing none, I'll be glad to hear a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
The public hearing is closed. Discussion on the item. Is there a motion to approve, or how would you like to proceed?
I would like a clarification first, Kelly, and per my voicemail. So, one of the criteria was one guest at a time, that the rooms shall not be rented to more than one guest at a time. And I know that's out of our ordinance. Is a guest a family, so it could be a couple? Because I couldn't find a clear definition.
Yeah, the intent is that their room or the suite is reserved to one party, one entity at a time. Not that there could only be one guest staying at the hotel at a time.
That's what I thought.
One
but-
person would hold the reservation.
Yep. Because they talk about occupants and guests, but it was not defined, so I just wanted the record to be clear that it's more than one person because of the requirement that's listed in the resolution.
Okay.
Other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve resolution number 2026-03, a resolution conditionally approving a special land use application for a hotel at 313 Center Street.
Thank you very much. It's been moved. Is there support?
Second?
Moved and supported to approve the special land use application for 313 Center Street. I've forgotten the resolution number already.
We don't have a number yet, so just go ahead and name.
2026-03.
Keep it correct. This would be
wonder,
2026-03,
It's
I
different than
think.
the city council?
Yes.
They are. They're
Okay,
planning commission
just wondering.
resolutions.
Just wondering.
Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to go on the record for clarification that I do support HASH, but no different than any other nonprofit in the community. So I am impartial with regard to this. I see no conflict for voting.
Okay. Well, I think, yes, I think most of us would support the Historical Association and the good work you do, so.
But we're not a board member, so I think that's the difference.
True enough. All right, then, it's been moved and supported to approve the special land use application.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If I may. Larry brought up a great point on parking, and I know the resolution was they'll just park downtown. But if you go downtown in the summer, how do we ever address that issue? I mean, I'm in favor of this. I think this is a great thing. I really do. But we can't just keep approving 30 more cars.
I think at some point, city council needs to come up, somehow it'll bubble up, and then we'll have an issue to work with.
And one planning commission member who's absented himself from this discussion has already got a suggestion to knock down City Hall and build a parking garage. Well, that may not come to be, but I think the city recognizes, and it's the macro issue, that there's not adequate parking downtown, even as it exists today. This is a wonderful project.
Yes.
As is the Hale project,
Yes.
in my opinion, but they all need more parking.
Yes.
So Clark is absolutely right. City council will deal with this, right, Mary?
Yep, well, and DDA, I know, is also looking at it. I think they have the most incentive. And with regard to parking and the issue we discussed, 1H does talk about confirmation of the third floor and parking, and possibly returning to the planning commission for a site plan amendment. So it has been reserved.
I also would like to say I live on Center Street, and about 4 or 5 blocks from town, and I see a lot of parking along that street that's available. Okay, if you want to park right downtown, right in front of Clementine's, that's one thing. But, it doesn't hurt to walk a couple blocks to get to town. Just saying.
All right, then we have a motion. It's been supported to approve the special land use application regarding 313 Center Street. Luke, would you please?
Campbell.
Yes.
Fitton.
Yes.
Hosley.
Yes.
Barney.
Yes.
Gruber.
Yes.
Heinig.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes. And I'll invite Mr. Stegman to rejoin us if he'd like, as we move on to item number 10, the Trailside Everett Park.
He looks pretty comfortable over there, doesn't he?
And this item would be an amendment to the planned unit development. We're all familiar with Trailside Everett Park. Kelly, any detail to add there?
Okay, so this request was submitted by Jack Barr at Naderveld, who is here tonight, along with Matt O'Connor, to add 32 residential units, which would be 16 townhomes at the existing Trailside development. This parcel is at the northeast corner of Indiana and Elkinburg. So the design for these homes would be similar to the homes that are being built right now on the parcel as a part of the Phase 2 development that was approved a couple of years ago. And these are 3-bedroom units with an attached garage, and the site plan includes a similar layout with similar setbacks and separation between the buildings, which you can see from their requested deviations on page 232 of the packet. Brad, do you have anything that you want to add right now before we hear from the applicant?
You may notice this is a little more detailed in review than what the previous one up on Virginia, for example, was. I just want to explain briefly how that we have a new process for processing PUDs, as you all are coming to find out. The Virginia Avenue site is a site condominium development, so they're creating the units out of the lots themselves. They're also not proposing any structural buildings basically on site. They provided envelopes that are equivalent to what the development standards for that district would permit. So when we did a review for that particular application, we looked to make sure basically that the sites themselves met the minimum requirements. And because they were actually larger than from what the parallel plan showed, they did. They met those requirements. This is a traditional condominium. So it sits on one lot, and this lot is split in half. And as you remember from a couple years ago, we went through the whole process. I believe Mr. O'Connor at the time had conceptual ideas of what he may want to do in this location. I know there was some back and forth with the city working specifically on that section of Able Avenue and things like that along there. And I believe that's why this ended up getting postponed further along than what the initial upfront were. So when we looked at density levels, for example, on this, we had to try and figure out what the existing master plan outlined and what the zoning ordinance required. When we took the amount of acreage that's permitted in that remaining half on there for this particular development and then multiplied that by what the master plan and zoning ordinance recommend, we ended up with 34 units. So that would be similar to what a parallel plan would be for this traditional condominium without the sites. And the applicant's proposing 32. As you know, that is 34 is with the full 25% maximum density bonus that would be granted on that property. So that's something through the zoning ordinance for this preliminary review, Planning Commission has a right to discuss. So I just wanted to make that clear how 34 came up in my document compared here and how it slightly differs from what the Virginia Avenue PUD was.
Okay, thanks. Did you say Mr. O'Connor is here as well, Kelly?
Good evening, Commissioners. Matt O'Connor, I own the property there. This is Jack Barr, engineer from Niederveld. So happy to answer any questions. It was very thorough and robust staff report, so thank you for doing that, and feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
I'll just add that we're in receipt of Mike, your city engineer's review comments. We can comply with all of those engineering things in the next stage when we get to the final plan prep, so nothing troublesome there with his review comments. Thank you.
I'll ask a question as not a professional engineer as you are, but with the, I'll call it an alleyway between Elkenberg and the extension of Able. There's two entrances on Elkenberg that I'm not sure, are they 50, 75 feet apart? Is that a concern in terms of traffic flow or anything, or not?
We don't think so, just because of the spacing there and the amount of traffic that this alley, one of Mike's comments was the alley, right now we're showing it as 20 feet, and he suggested it be 22 feet to account for maybe somebody parks there, and so that we can have emergency vehicles go down there. But that spacing, we don't really anticipate a high traffic volume at either Everett Parkway or this alley, that you're going to have some kind of turn movement, and there's clear vision there from that last unit that's closest to Elkenberg, where there isn't vegetation, and you should be able to see each other adequately. If two cars are pointing north at the alley and Everett Parkway, there should be some decisions there that people will be able to see each other.
Okay. Like I said, you're way smarter than me, I'm sure.
I don't know about that. And I'm also working on the project across the street, the Overton site for dwelling place. And with that project, they do not have any driveways that are going to be coming out onto Elkenberg. So there's nothing across the street that's going to conflict with either of those driveways.
That's probably good.
That's good to know. And I'm wondering, is that alleyway approximately the same width as the alleyways that are already in Phase 1? Because you've got some alleyways, although they don't go into Elkenberg. They come down to Abel, but those aren't as wide as the 22 feet. So,
correct. The way we have it drawn right now, as you're seeing on the screen, is 20 feet wide. The existing alleys, I worked on that project way back in 2007 as well. Those were like 18-foot wide alleys, so much narrower alleys. So if you've been in there and you've kind of experienced what those alleys feel like,
they're really
narrow.
but there's not as much traffic. There won't be as much traffic in those. There'll be more over here. So that's all still good.
Okay.
If your plan, if I read it correctly, excuse me, may I?
Of course.
It says that you're asking for setbacks from 25 feet to 10 foot, but you only need 15 foot. So why would we approve 10 foot, other than we're nice?
All of our buildings are spaced 15 feet apart, consistent with what we did on Indiana and Elkenberg.
Okay.
We wanted some flexibility if somebody wanted a bump out unit or something, just some flexibility with the final units, the construction of the units. I think that's what Kelly had prepared in her memo.
And maybe it's not the right question to ask you, but how are you going to manage parking? Because, I understood you went from 20 to 22 foot based on the emergency services folks, but how are you going to manage parking in that alley? Is it just not going to be allowed?
Matt and I haven't discussed that. Typically, alleys, you don't allow parking, and the fire department may have something to say about that, too. They may not want people to be parking there just so they have clear pathway through there. Haven't talked with the fire department at all, but.
And as potential STRs, these units would only require 2 parking spots?
If they're for 3-bedroom
Yes.
units, they would require 2 parking spots.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
And I believe within the development itself, up there around the community building, the pool on Cable Avenue, there's open parking. I mean, you probably want to reserve that for folks that are using the pool or the meeting house, but,
The pool has nothing to do with this project.
right, I know it doesn't, but in terms of parking,
I mean, yeah, the reality is people may park there.
yeah, okay. Okay, Mary, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go. No. Similar questions to Commissioner Fitton. So how close are the homes along Everett Parkway to the sidewalk? How much are they set off from the sidewalk? Because the report indicated they were 15 feet from the road, but it looks like there's a good barrier of ground it's just that's a multi-use trail.
It's like 34 feet from the back of the units to the edge of the trail on
Those are the
page
front,
249.
actually, so the back of the units are along the alley. And that's the front of the units.
So they're 34 feet from the Everett Parkway right-of-way, and the non-motorized trail is about 4 feet off of inside the right-of-way. So, and then the units, so 34 feet from right-of-way to the building, and then another 4 feet or so to the trail. So 38-ish feet from the edge of the trail to the unit.
That's a good, right here.
Okay.
That's a good amount. That's more than I thought.
And you will be widening the alley to 22 feet?
Matt and I hadn't discussed that, but I don't think I'm going to win that with Mike. So yes, we probably will be widening that.
And you haven't discussed no parking. I just know that parking can be quite cramped in that area, and especially as we're increasing the number of units. I just would hate to see parking, especially on both sides of the street, possibly parking on just one side of the street, or my preference is no parking. I mean, we have the parking requirement of 2 spaces for a 3-bedroom.
Yeah, at this point, we're still working through that with engineering. I mean, what we wanted to present here was a plan that we think makes sense, and there's probably still a couple things we need to work through on a few of the conditions mentioned in the report. I think practically speaking, the most likely would be parking on one side of the road. I don't see how it would even be physically possible to be parking on 2 sides of the road. But I'm not an engineer.
With it. But they can park in the driveway, and then they park in the garage.
Yeah, correct. And it's only a 3-bedroom unit, so the reality is.
Yeah. That adds up.
You're not going to want a vast amount of parking. So.
Yeah, that relates to my question too. The driveways, are they sufficient enough for parking of a truck that's larger? Because sometimes we limit some of those driveways and we see them coming out into the roadway or out into the sidewalk. So I didn't look at the dimensions as far as, accommodating a larger vehicle.
Yeah, I guess it'd be what your definition of a truck is, but, yeah, I mean,
They're sufficient?
The drive, we had gone through this in the first phase, if you will, the units on Indiana and Elkenberg, and we were required to have at least a 24-foot driveway length so that vehicles could park in the driveway without blocking, hanging out into the road or hanging over the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's what I
24 is really,
particularly noticed.
24 is big.
That's like an F-150 or a Suburban.
Okay, good, thanks.
And the garage is 22 feet long.
All right,
Mr.
thank
Chairman,
you
if
very
I-
much. Another question?
Use the term missing middle in your submittal pretty frequently. And as I'm reading this, understanding that these are all eligible to be STRs because they're in the STR district, it's hard for me to buy that because the number of STR requests, short-term rental requests that we're seeing is substantial, and it's hard to envision this actually helping us with our missing middle housing as long as we're in a situation where people can come in and buy them and they basically, as long as they meet the requirements, they're going to get an STR permit. So I guess I would encourage you to make less liberal use of that language because I don't see how it's going to, I mean, I would love for that to be true, but I don't think it is. It's an editorial comment.
Chairman?
Okay, I'm sorry?
Along those same lines, you know, for the benefit of the community, so income-producing homes get a higher price, which then increases, takes them
Right.
further away from
Exactly.
missing middle. And yes, they are in the overlay zone, but as part of the approval, does the Planning Commission have authority to limit them becoming short-term rentals as part of the approval process?
I'm fascinated to hear the answer to the question. I'm curious who's going to answer it. Sorry.
So if I understand the question correctly, the question is, could the Planning Commission place a condition on approval of the PUD that they not be used as short-term rentals at all? I guess, what is the precise condition being contemplated?
Yeah, yes. Is that even feasible?
I would need to research that.
It's an overlay, isn't it?
The conditions have to be reasonable, but given that this is specifically in the overlay, I would have a hard time finding it to be reasonable to completely prohibit short-term rentals. That would defeat the purpose of the overlay. That being said, I have not researched the question in detail, and I can get back to the Planning Commission if there's a desire on that.
I think what we've seen is some PUDs have had that, but it's sunsetted for a certain amount of years, correct? 331 Center?
I don't know that that was done through the Planning Commission process, or I believe that was done through tax incentives. I don't have an answer for
You know,
that.
I have some memory somewhere, and I think this one was taken off the books once a certain percentage of units were sold, and that was somewhere between 2014 and 2018. So that came and went.
And then it expired after
Yeah.
like 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause you can't keep it off the books forever.
Just as an extension from Commissioner Fitton's comments, and I've heard other people say, you know, they're all short-term rentals, and that increases the price. I also appreciate that with Harbor Club, or I'm sorry, Trailside, sorry. You know, you are paying for remediation, so that increases the price also. And that's why I'm just, from things I'm hearing, just inquiring, because the PUD plan has to be approved. Can that be part of the approval process?
Again, I'll need to research that. If there's consensus that the Planning Commission wants me to research that, I'm happy to do so.
Okay, and I was gonna say this during comments, but my question that would couple with that would be, can you do a condition of permanent residency? 'Cause I've been seeing where some legislation is being proposed in different communities where if anybody buys a home in this particular area, you have to declare that domicile as your permanent residence. So I'm just adding that in now, so when you're doing your research, maybe you can look into that as well.
I guess I didn't quite follow, so are you referring to as part of STR approval, or that somebody? I
Just
didn't
like
follow the question.
STR, but opposite, permanent. You have to declare, like, you buy the home there, you have to declare that your permanent residence.
So
There
that-
was an article in MLive about a condo in Ann Arbor, and they were showing the breakdown of how many are permanent residents, how many are short-term rentals, and how many are units that were just purchased to be used 2 or 3 times a year for game day. And that was about 40% of the condo units, and they were complaining that no matter how many condos they build in Ann Arbor, because there's people buying them just solely for game day use, that they can't build enough.
Okay, so I think I understand it. So the question is, could a condition be imposed as part of the PUD approval that anybody purchasing the property use that as their principal residence?
Correct.
Not necessarily permanent residence. You're not looking
Principal,
at whether they
correct.
could sell the property, just whether it's their principal. Okay.
Correct.
I understand the question now.
Get a PRE.
PRE.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your support, your presence. And we do need to open a public hearing on this topic.
I move to open public hearing.
Thank you.
Second?
It's moved and supported to open a public hearing. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
The public hearing is open. Anyone that would like to speak to item 10 on the agenda, the Trailside Everett Park Planned Unit Development Amendment, please come forward.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to close the public hearing. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
The hearing is closed. I wonder where Dan Agnello is tonight.
He moved.
He moved.
I know he did. I'm being somewhat
That is kind of.
Wondering if he's watching, though.
Maybe so. Dan, yeah.
Dan, if you're there watching, hello.
All right, then, do we have a motion to act on this amendment?
I would say just quickly before the motion, in case he leaves. So they're going to put in, who builds the permanent road for Abel Avenue? Would that be the city building that, or would? No. Matt would build that? Okay.
Oh, can you come up?
Sorry to dance it.
You're talking the connection from?
From Abel that's
Indiana.
there, and you would be building that?
Correct.
Okay. And just as a quick aside, because I didn't know if Jim was going to leave, so Abel Pharmacy was started in 1894. And in 1973, Jim Oldgard and Jerry Gruber bought McDonald Drug Store because Abel had became McDonald Drug Store in 1924. So just a little aside that is named after a pharmacy.
What was Abel's first name?
I don't know. Charles. There we go.
But
Thank
that extension would not be considered the missing middle for Abel Avenue.
No,
correct?
it would not. That would not be the missing middle. But thank you. But it is good to note, I mean, if you've been on those roads, they're built to road standard, and that is a lot tougher than some of the PUD roads, so thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve a resolution recommending conditional approval of the Plan Unit Development Amendment for the properties commonly known as 900 Indiana Avenue and 1070 Indiana Avenue. Giant 5-page resolution like I've never seen before in my life.
Second.
All right,
question for staff. I've asked this before, and I'm still curious. Item 2E on the resolution. The proposed PUD amendment will not place demands on public services and facilities more than current or anticipated future capacity. Who figures this one out? Who's responsible for writing that sentence? Is it somebody at DPW or, because all these units, sooner or later, this, and I've said this before, I know this because when I was at city council, we built the water plant. We were over capacity on 4th of July, so we had to build a new water plant, but we never built the intake. The intake's still the same size, so we really can't bring any more water than we ever did before. So all these additional homes, who's figuring out the quantities?
Well, we do rely heavily on the engineering report for that item, and I suppose if the planning commission has another view, then that would be for you to discuss.
I'd like to add to that.
Yeah.
Because there's language in here, it says, as far as system runoff, there's specific discussion in here about runoff capacity, and 2/3 of two of the three inputs are from the new property and one's from the city.
The detention basin.
Yeah, the retention, and so we're assuming that's okay, and we're assuming our electric system margin, because, you know, it's not just getting how much power is coming into the city, it's how much you have in that neighborhood. And there's a statement in there that says 8-inch water main is good. That's what the engineering report says. 8-inch water main is only good if you have enough capacity and pressure to support that system. So to me, when we're doing developments, we should know what the margin is. Every one of those systems has a margin. And so our public utilities should be telling us, you know, your electric system's at 73% or it's at 97%. And the same thing's true with water and sewer and storm runoff.
So I guess what my question is, this is in this resolution, and if the utilities are undersized, this sentence seems to me to put the city responsible for having to do any new infrastructure, and the owner of the property would not have to.
So this is a proposed finding that the planning commission would make. If you don't believe that that statement is accurate, then planning commission is free to amend that finding. When we brought one of the resolutions before, we left this kind of open-ended so that planning commission could make their own findings, and staff in my office got the sense that the planning commission didn't like that. So we proposed findings for you this time, but if you disagree with those, you can amend the resolution. But that being said, this is one of the standards that the planning commission needs to consider when it's deciding whether to approve the preliminary, whether it is going to recommend approval of the preliminary PUD plan and recommend approval of the PUD rezoning.
So who do I look for to make me confident that 2E should be in the resolution?
It's section 2 or 1812, item 5. It's actually the standard, as Nathan was saying, which is on 215 of your packet. And it's almost word for word for that. So yes, and the recommendation that staff made here in this comment was rely on the engineers and everyone like that, so.
Yeah, but what we're getting is not adequate.
Correct. And that's
I mean, that's the point. And I don't think it has anything to do with this project. I mean, to me, every single project of any size, we should be getting that information. They have to have it.
And Tim has made that point before.
They do have it, and that's why they can recommend that it's adequate.
That's why
It
you
would be
received the
wonderful
report
if
that
they
you
would share
received.
it.
You want to see those kind of details on sewer capacity, storm?
At least periodically.
Or in the annual report.
Or a little meter next to each one of those every time it comes in front of us, so we know just how far along we are.
I think we're wading into the land of Shawsa and Board of Public Utilities.
Yes.
So feel free to attend those meetings as well.
Okay.
I would encourage you to do so.
Okay, I think we have a motion that's been supported.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so I have a question. So if we go forward and vote affirmatively on this, then what happens with the potential for a condition with respect to STRs or permanent residents or what have you? Is that gone at that point?
Condition would be gone from the planning commission being able to impose it as part of their recommendation, yes. Now, whether this would then go to city council, and city council would be the ultimate decision maker on approval of the preliminary PUD plan and the rezoning. There is a draft ordinance that's been provided with the resolution. So potentially, city council could impose additional conditions when the PUD preliminary plan and PUD rezoning comes before them for consideration. But yes, if you vote on this tonight, you won't be able to amend the resolution in the future.
And I think that's a great plan. I think our job at some point was to come up with the ordinances, and that then if council wanted to do something different, because they did provide the overlay, if they want to make a change to that, because they said they're good here, hopefully this feedback can be presented with our approval or disapproval.
My concern is that if this goes up to city council, the attorney will not have had sufficient time to review it, and if we have other questions. So if we do want those items clarified ahead of time, we may want to consider postponing this one meeting so that we can get clarity. And in that time, possibly Shasa or Dana Bird could provide more confidence in these findings that our system can handle that. Because we do get some overflows. So yes, I share the same concern as Commissioner Stegman about these statements and not having, and Commissioner Fitton, not having the data to support it.
I do think the short-term rental part of it's more of a political question, and it would be more of staff and city council working with the developer saying, hey, this is what we want, and they're going to come to some kind of agreement. City will give something in order to obtain something like that. We're out of the negotiating realm.
And looking for, the missing middle housing, looking at, the variety of kinds of housing we have, and limiting the short-term rentals. I think that's a good conversation for council as well, because that's some of their priorities right now as well.
And I know that this particular project was pushed, it was proposed by Matt O'Connor and pushed by us, looking at that area to provide a different type of housing. And, the townhouse it's a different unit.
It is.
Throughout the entire city, and it is actually at a smaller price point than standalone homes as well. I didn't say that it was necessarily inexpensive, but it is different price point than a standalone home. So, he is providing something that actually this body did ask of him.
And it's 2 blocks from the lake.
Pardon me?
It's 2 blocks from the lake. That's going to play a big deal in the price point, too.
Yeah.
So, my motion, you have that. I believe it was seconded.
Chairman?
Go ahead.
I would move to add a condition I under 1 that The developer will share the due care plan with city staff for this property.
I'm a little confused. Tim, you had a motion, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, it was the resolution. She wants to amend it to add 1I, which I assume is like a Eagle amendment?
It's not, Eagle doesn't really do due care. It's really owned by the property owner and would share the due care plan, and I would add, and any updates there too.
Is that something that's shared now with staff?
Mr. Chair, I don't think you have a second yet.
I'll second.
Okay.
All right, so that's a second to Tim's motion.
Yes.
Matt, did you want to speak to the due care?
No. To Commissioner Hasley's motion.
No.
The motion on the floor right now, seconded by either Commissioner Fitton or Gruber, maybe both, was Commissioner Hasley's motion to amend Commissioner Stegman's motion. So we have a main motion to approve the resolution. There's now an amendment on the floor to add a condition I that,
The developer will share the due care plan and any updates with city staff.
See, I think when you jumped in, you confused them, though. And I think we were waiting for Matt to come up and tell us about his due care before they were going to second that or not.
yeah, I was trying to guide the chairman that we were beginning to discuss an amendment that hadn't
That
been
wasn't
seconded.
supported.
Thank you, Nathan, I appreciate it.
I don't want to, I
So-
thought we weren't
Now
seconding.
have the second.
Yeah, that's,
Now have the
Getting
second.
too far, yeah.
yeah.
We didn't have when he spoke, but we now do.
So Mary's amendment supported. I would have him come up now and.
Okay.
Because
Who
I think
supported
we're
Mary's
confused.
I will
as to
second,
what
if
the-
I didn't previously,
Okay,
I will second Mary's amendment, and I'd love to hear the answer.
okay. Please.
Yes, we've provided that to city staff already, and it's all public record, so I think Kelly can attest to that, and Kate can attest to that, so happy to send it. You guys have my email, but I think you already have it.
Okay.
So we're requiring, you want to add something, require something that's already been done and normally done? Is the due care
Well,
plan normally
it's-
provided?
No, it's not always provided.
It has been provided in this case.
Okay.
Is there a need for ongoing, or is it a one-time?
The plan could be amended by the developer. If the plan has been amended, I suppose it would be appropriate to ask for an amended version of the plan. I don't know that it has been.
I will swear if I amend it, I'll give you guys a copy, but that's never going to happen, so, but I'm happy to be as transparent as possible, and you guys have my email and cell phone number.
I also want to make clear that the city is not responsible for enforcing the due care plan. City staff does not enforce the developer's due care plan.
That's correct.
May I ask what a due care plan is?
Sure, yes.
I'm
So-
asking, what is a due care plan?
It is a plan that describes the developer's responsibility with regard to the environmental issues at the property.
Oh,
It's filed with the state of Michigan with Eagle, and
Okay.
it's approved by
That's-
Lansing.
That's the legal definition. There's a lot of definitions to due care, so.
About 650 pages. If you guys are bored this weekend, I can send it to you again.
When I drove down the road tonight.
So we have Mary's proposed amendment. It has been seconded. Any further discussion of that amendment to the motion?
Well, is it necessary? Seems like it's already done once in Lansing. It's not Eagle. Who is it? What departments? Who is responsible then if staff doesn't look at it?
Eagle, so it gets filed with Lansing with Eagle, and we get a letter from the state of Michigan's Environmental Department, and
Yep.
and that's all provided in the report, which we provided you guys. I'm happy to again, send it again, but it's all
Okay.
filed, and you can FOIA it if you don't believe I've provided it to you. But-
So I think we're covered on that myself, if anybody disagrees.
So we need to vote on the motion to amend. Yes? Luke, would you please?
Gruber,
No.
Heinig,
No.
Campbell,
No.
Fitton,
No.
Stegman,
No.
Horsley,
Yes.
Barney,
No.
Sherman.
No. All right, then now we can vote on the original amendment, or I'm sorry, the original motion from Tim, as seconded by Paul, I believe.
Call the question.
Please do. Luke?
Campbell,
Yes.
Fitton,
Yes.
Stegman,
Yes.
Horsley,
Yes.
Barney,
Yes.
Gruber,
Yes.
Heinig,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes. All right, then. Kelly's given us a very fine annual report. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presence.
We got presents?
Sorry?
We got presents? It's a
Oh, I get
Christmas
it.
hangover there.
I get it. Kelly, you want to speak to the annual report?
Sure. So the annual report is a requirement of the MZEA, and we have prepared a report to summarize the Planning Commission activity from the previous year. We have included Zoning Board of Appeals activity as well, just for your interest and information. You'll notice that much of the first half of the year was spent on text-heavy items like the master plan and some ordinance amendments. And then in the fall, we began seeing short-term rental special land use applications and some site plan review applications like the lakefront roofing project. So typically, the Planning Commission does not adopt or approve this report, but rather typically what you do is make a motion to accept it, and then we forward it to City Council.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we accept the 2025 annual report and recommend forwarding it to City Council.
Second.
Been moved and supported. Is there any discussion?
Sure, I have 3 proposed changes. So on page 262, under 241 Oak.
What was that page number again, please?
262,
Thank you.
under 241 Oak, would have been the April 10th meeting. The last column indicates that it would be postponed until the May meeting, but it's been postponed indefinitely. It never came back. So I would move to amend that section, whatever that sentence, to strike until May meeting, pending proper public notice, postponed indefinitely, pending proper public notice. So it would read, discuss topic, item postponed indefinitely, pending proper public notice, no action taken. So the until May meeting would be stricken and indefinitely would be inserted in its place.
Mr. Chair, this is Kelly's report. Are you in concurrence with what's being suggested?
So that may be what ended up happening, but what happened at the meeting was that we discussed that the item would be postponed until the next month, which would have been May. And that's the reason that it was written the way it was. If the Planning Commission's not comfortable with that language, we can amend the report, but
So, Mary, you're identifying 3 things that are the same indefinite postponement, correct?
Well, so that column indicates that it came back, that it would come back, and it did not come back.
I was thinking at the end of the report, maybe we could do like an asterisk with identifying a couple things rather than changing the format you have.
I think as it's written, it accurately reports what happened in the April meeting. Now, further down the road, further down the calendar year, Mary, you're correct, it never returned. But I'm fine with the wording as it is.
Okay. And then I had one other similar, so I'll skip that. And then page 264, for 120 baseline, the box is empty. And I would amend to add postponed indefinitely while city and applicant discuss conditional rezoning of MHC.
That's appropriate, I think.
Or just TBD.
Yeah.
So,
You okay with that, Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
and Mike seconded.
I don't think we have to do
Yeah,
that
we
by
don't need a
motion.
motion, I don't believe.
We just
Well,
correct.
I'm sorry, we need a motion to accept the report.
So that
We did
is
that.
pending. And to forward it to the city council.
council.
So there should be a motion to amend the report, which is what I just did, to insert
Okay.
that comment in the
Okay.
box.
So it's moved and supported to amend the report to include additional detail regarding the 120 baseline road item from the December meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed? It's approved. Kelly will make that change. And now a motion to accept the report as it's been amended and forward to city council, I think, is appropriate.
No, Mr. Chair, you just need a vote.
Yeah, just need a vote.
Okay. All right, and I think we can do, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Kelly, please forward that wonderful report.
Thank you, will do.
All right, then, we're at item 12, public comment. Citizens in the audience may address the planning commission regarding items not on the agenda. Any of you good folks have another topic that you'd like to comment on, please come forward. Pardon? Apparently there are none. Kelly, we've got item 13 in there for 229 Elkenberg Street. Help me there, please.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chairman, we wanted to provide an update because I believe it was last month we discussed the Overton project and anticipated having a site plan here at this month's meeting for your review. And that did not end up happening. So we just wanted to give you a placeholder with a little bit of an update. As I hope you're all aware, the city's been working with the dwelling place of Grand Rapids, and the city council recently approved the concept for the phase 1 of the development of the Overton site at 229 Elkenberg. Dwelling Place also conducted a series of public input sessions to help inform the design for phase 1, which is a multifamily residential building that will be built at the corner of Elkenberg and Indiana. So Dwelling Place has submitted an application for site plan review, but while staff was reviewing, there were some minor revisions that were requested, and in order to give everyone enough time to make the changes and have them reviewed, it was decided that it would be best to place the item on the February agenda for review. And Dwelling Places indicated that this will still give them ample time to pursue MISTA funding, which they intend to do. So we just want to keep everybody updated so that you know where we're at with that project, and we can look forward to Dwelling Place and Naderveld again here next month.
Thank you very much for that update. And I think we can move on to item 14, commission member and staff comments. Kelly, anything to summarize or?
Sure. I have a couple of things. So I have been communicating with all of you and with Southwest Michigan Planning Commission. It looks like we have a January 28 date set for the master plan meeting at 5:30, so I hope that still works for most of you. And I want to provide just a brief update on 120 baseline. We heard today from the applicant, they would like to convert the request to a conditional rezoning. And they have submitted a statement, and we have not reviewed it yet, but we anticipate doing that. And they will be back at an upcoming meeting.
Okay. We have that to look forward to.
Yes,
Anything else?
that's it from me. Thank you.
All right. Mary?
May I ask
Oh,
Kelly
of
a
course.
question? So the ZBA had a hearing for a variance with regard to parking requirements and short-term rentals. And I was wondering if it might be possible for the Planning Commission to get an update on that. Is that even feasible after any appeal time has lapsed? Just,
There was an application in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals, an applicant that previously had a short-term rental at 111 Woodman.
I don't mean now, but is that?
Well,
do
it's
we ever
fairly
get-
straightforward, and I guess I would encourage the group to watch the video if you're all really interested. The request was a variance from the short-term rental parking requirement, and the ZBA denied the variance. And
Okay.
that was the outcome of that meeting.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
And then, just for clarification, the code that was referenced earlier, Chairman, when you had said, well, the Code of Ordinances is within the City Council purview. At the beginning of the meeting, we were discussing the Code of Ordinance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the reason I think it may have been brought up at Planning Commission is because the Code of Ordinance that the City Council was addressing, it was with regard to the comments submitted, and you wondered why the comments were being sent to Planning Commission. And it was with regard to the Code of Ordinance. The Code of Ordinance that the City Council was addressing concerned Planning Commission members sitting on other boards.
Okay.
I just thought that clarification might help put things in perspective.
All right, then, I think we can move to item 14, commission member and staff comments. Larry, you didn't get a chance last month. Would you like to lead off here?
Yeah, Kelly, I thought that was a great report, your annual report. Well done, very informative. Thank you. I think we as a commission need to remember what our role is. We're here to look at planning, land use. When we start taking on other roles, we may be stepping on toes. Besides, we have enough to do with our own responsibilities. We don't need to step out and grab more. So when issues come up, just remember that. I'm not picking on anybody or even any particular item, just we all tend to forget that at times.
Say we're not looking for more work.
I'm not.
Agree. Thanks. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Janice, anything to share?
Yes, thank you. A couple of things. I support Michael's suggestion, recommendation that we ask staff to review the Harbor Commission and requests that we get from them, not necessarily from them, but after their review. And if everything's in place, they should be able to approve it and not take that extra step. I also want to thank everybody for their hard work on planning this or creating this packet for us. I was initially overwhelmed by all of the things that I needed to look for as I started sorting, and then all of a sudden I thought, gee, they're all sorted, and I spent like a half an hour writing them all down, and pretty soon, like magic, they were all there. So thank you for compiling that. It certainly makes our job much easier, and I really appreciate that. And also the thoroughness, I have to say, of the water department, the sanitary sewer reports, the engineering reports, and the street department. It was amazing how much work they have put in to compile all of that information and prepare it for us. And I do have a lot of trust in what they are supporting or giving us. So I do want to pass that compliment on to those departments in particular for their work. And I think that's basically it, except, I continue, as we have these conversations, I continue to be concerned about affordable housing in our community. And we're looking at projects, mostly tonight, that were pretty high-end projects. And so I want to keep our eye on that as well.
Thanks very much. Mary, go ahead.
I also echo support for Commissioner Campbell's suggestion with regard to the Harbor Club. I actually had it listed on my items. And I think one concern that we had was maybe the Harbor Commission doesn't review everything that we do, but I think they do. And just comparing our ordinance with theirs might allow us to give that up, like we've given some other things up to the Harbor Commission. At the December City Council meeting, the City Council passed a code of conduct, and I would ask the Planning Commission to consider doing something similar. You can look at the agenda packet from December 15th and just replace Planning Commission where City Council is there, and would ask that that be brought back on a future agenda item. And also thank you everyone who attended, contacted us, spoke, and staff who provided the documents for the very packed meeting tonight.
Thanks. Mike, go ahead.
Thank you to Kelly and all who prepared the packet for tonight. Especially thanks to our attorney, who always takes my questions and gives very courteous answers, even if I'm off base. And I appreciate you letting me down softly. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Clark?
To all the commissioners of the no votes for the reconsideration vote tonight, which were originally a no vote, I want to thank you for your tireless service and your unwavering commitment to democracy. And also, maybe having an engineer or two, if we ever have time, a short discussion, presentation to us on, okay, this area of town has this much capacity for electricity, water, and sewer, and if we add 24 condominiums, how do they analyze that load can still be satisfied by what we have? And maybe if we tell them they're an engineer, give them 7.5 minutes, right? And they have to give us 7.5 minutes, and then maybe that will help us. Because it's always, and I know they do an analysis that's great, but you figure at some point a certain portion of town, and you add 300, 400, 500 homes. I'm looking at Baseline Road. Like, where does it come from?
Okay.
That's it.
Thanks. Go ahead, Paul.
I think that, first of all, I am an engineer. I think that's a great approach. And, as far as that whole discussion, we went and we visited part of our family in Kentucky. They just built a brand-new high school, and $75 million, and the high school is at capacity. Brand new. They have 350 home proposals in front of their planning commission now for consideration. I mean, the area is just expanding. And so it kind of poked me a little bit to be sensitive to the whole topic of, yes, I'm sure they are doing their job, but I think it's a good thing for us to have an understanding of what they're doing and how they do it. And that's probably a better suggestion than a detailed report every month. I think that's a really good approach. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks. Tim?
Happy New Year. And wanted to comment, we already talked about the Singapore thing prior to the meeting, but the sand blowing. And this is a good one, coastal resiliency. I can tell you right now, nobody will get any satisfaction from that, and nothing will ever happen, because what needs to happen is when the city goes and collects all the Christmas trees, they need to haul them down to the North Beach and the South Beach, tether them in, and let sand dunes develop. But that'll never happen, because everybody wants the beach cleaned and flat, and so the sand's gonna continue to blow, because nobody's gonna allow dunes to develop. And unfortunately, you know, growing up, they're at the end of the North Pier, right next to the circle part of the drive, dunes were allowed to be built, or to accumulate with some trees, and that kept all that sand from going into the river, whereas it does right now, and it creates a huge, what do you call it, sandbar that the sailboats get caught on. And that was because the people that live along North Shore, the beach there, they couldn't see the south pier, so they wanted it moved. So unless you let the dune grass grow, we're always gonna have this sand blowing around, and there's not much you can do about it. So we're not that coastal resilient after all.
Right. And, you know, the coastal resilience and high water on the lake, we all know that's a reality, but we get major wind events, and that's an act of God, I guess, so. I'll just add to what's already been said. Kelly, anytime you can keep that agenda packet less than 300 pages, I think you've done a fabulous job, so thanks for that. Luke, it's a delight to have you here. I just usually see you at the Wellness Center, so thanks for being here. I'm totally with Mike. Nathan keeps us on the straight and narrow, so thanks for that, and Brad as well, and everyone that was here, whether you voiced an opinion or just sat here and listened to us yammer on, thanks for that, and those watching at home. So if there are no further comments, I'll declare us adjourned. Yeah.